The one thing I would say is that I think this is a strong indicator that whatever number we see for water work will also be inflated, because I think you'll see some wiggle room in there for rock in the ground, so.
Don't they generally just add a rock clause on that?
They do, but I think the mobilization costs look pretty inflated too, so I don't know if that's just, honestly, I don't know what that means, but it's higher than I've ever seen as far as mobilization costs, and it was on both sides. They were pretty high, so. I mean, the rock clause, the rock numbers were, let's see what they had. You can see, Wunsch had $25, so obviously he's a little less afraid of that, whereas Hurst and Sons had $152, so that's where you see the biggest difference there. But, you know, that estimated quantity could go up or down to 210 tons. So.
Those seem kind of mobilized for 22,000, all the equipment's in town.
Actually, I think most of it's moved out.
Oh, okay.
I think they moved out and then they'll be coming back in. Yeah, because they can't even get in until probably September, because there's still some trailers in the park until the middle of September. So.
How, engineer had no rock estimate in this at all? Is that,
When I talked to him, I said, do you have concerns about a rock number? And his comment was, he said, well, the rock's further down, isn't it? Because you can see where it slopes off there. And I said, yes, there's worse rock where it's right to the surface, a little bit further down there. But I said, you'll come to learn. Obviously, he hasn't done a whole lot of projects here in Humboldt yet. But I said, anytime you're in Humboldt, your first thought should probably be, where's the rock? Because you're going to find it somewhere. Sometimes it's right at the surface, sometimes it's 6 foot down. So in this case, I think they're saying, this sewer will be probably about 16 feet, a little bit less than 16, 15 to 13 feet deep, because it's connecting to a trunk line that runs south from there. And I think they figured the stone or the rocks probably at about 6 or 7 feet deep. So you do, depending on how many veins run through there and how hard a rock it is, will depend on how much it costs. Obviously, Wunsch is familiar with rock. They did a lot of work there. So.
we did that project in the south part of town, we had a lot of rock down there and stuff, and they did night and stuff. That was a lot of rock.
Yeah.
It wasn't as hard a rock as what Wunsch went through, but I mean, whatever, it was a lot of limestone, so they had to fight their way through anyway, so.
Yeah, and Hurst and Sons was actually debating dynamiting to go through it, so.
Then part of it was, I suppose.
Yeah, which surprised me.
Hmm.
It's approved in the specs, but not a lot of people do it anymore.
Do we have any written comments or objections on file, Gloria?
No, we don't.
Do we have any comments or objections from the general public in attendance this evening? There being no more comments or objections on the bids received for the 2013 sanitary sewer extension project, I will close the public hearing at 5:57. Next public hearing. This being the time and place for the scheduled public hearing on the sale of a parcel of land locally known as 710 4th Avenue North. I will open public hearing at 5:57. Aaron?
This is another Humboldt County Housing Development Corp. project. They've proposed to develop that lot, which is the lot where the home was burnt down a few months ago. They've proposed to develop that lot from low and moderate income set-aside funds for a single-family home. This is kind of the original discussion we had when we talked about taking that house and getting rid of it, was how do you pay for the asbestos removal, how do you pay for the removal of the ashes and everything that's involved, and then getting that site back to grade. Total cost for that lot that so far has been paid out of low and moderate income set aside is about, I believe we're at about $14,000 out of that area there. So with that in mind, any offer that would come in privately would have to essentially match that amount, because we would have to pay back the low and moderate income set aside or build low and moderate income housing on it, which is kind of it's always a kind of a poor term for it, because low and moderate, the first thing people think of is, this is very, small, poor housing, whatever. And actually, it'll go all the way up to 130,000 as far as prices, so.
Which is not counting land cost, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, you can actually do some significant things with it that aren't, basically difficult to move because they don't really fill needs, or they're too small to really have a family in, or anything like that. So, anyway, the lot was brought to its current condition with low and moderate income set-aside funds. I've talked to several developers. I talked with Kevin Scow, I've talked with Bertie, I've talked with all the folks that could be involved, people who are involved up on Eagle Ridge, as far as possible interest in constructing a home on that lot. And frankly, the payback for the low and moderate income is more than what any of them would ever want to pay for that lot, especially when you consider the fact that, they could go up to Eagle Ridge and buy a lot for 19, and that would be probably a larger lot for them to construct a home. So that's kind of been a hindrance as far as getting that lot developed privately. So with that in mind, the Humboldt County Housing Development Corporation offered $1 for the land and is requesting funds from the LMI in a future resolution that's further down to construct that home and continue to develop low and moderate income housing within the city of Humboldt. And that those funds would then be revolved again into the community for similar projects, either single-family homes, things like that.
How much money do we have in that fund?
378, I believe. It's 378,000. Somewhere around there.
376.
376.
Yeah, pretty close.
That's a lot. But, and that will continue to go up. It's, just as a reminder, it's a set-aside account that when we do residential tax increment financing projects like Eagle Ridge, 38.8% of the funds received from tax increment financing have to go into a special account that is for developing lower than market rate housing, and which would be the low and moderate income housing, as opposed to the homes that will go up at Eagle Ridge will probably all be north of 230,000, I would say. So, with that in mind, this fund is meant to develop the other bands of housing within the community, and we use it for community development block grant matching funds to do housing rehab. We've done all sorts of things with it. This would be a good way to help out that 100,000 to 200,000 price range that really you can't build a home into it very easily, and there's just not a lot of homes on the market, which is a barrier to people moving to the city. We've had several folks that have been in rental housing for quite a while that would love to buy in the community but just can't find a home. So that's kind of where this discussion happened with Humboldt County Housing, was to try and help out that price point.
Will this be one of the high school project homes, or who will build it?
Most likely, honestly, there's not a whole lot of builders available right now, so we'll have to figure out who can build it. We'd like to, the comment when I met with Cheryl, and previous comments as far as the South Humboldt, the 7th Avenue South addition in Humboldt, the goal is to get the homes up as quick as possible, because there's really a need that exists immediately and will probably exist, for the next several years as we see more and more jobs come online, through Hagee, through Cargill, and locally through all the expansion that exists within industry in Humboldt. New businesses that come to Humboldt, those are constantly, you need to have that housing to satisfy that. And so my hope would be to get that house online as quick as possible. I don't really know, from talking to the builders about the Fourth Avenue lot, Fourth Avenue North lot, there's not a lot of folks that can do much right now. I mean, they're very, very busy. I mean, everybody that can, I think, is building at this point. There was a little bit of a lull before Eagle Ridge came online where, you know, a lot of the guys were waiting to get started up there. But now that Birdie's, yeah, I think he's got 3 homes he's starting up there at this point, so I don't think he's gonna have a whole lot of time. And Mark Dagy's got 2 places he's working on, or not Mark Daggy, sorry. Mark Dickey is working on 2 places. And then Mitch Fridolfson has a place on Taft that he's working on. So, you know, everybody who's interested in building is active right now.
Most of those guys don't build $130,000 houses either.
No. No, Bertie had offered to work with us and try and help us out just because, you know, he could do, you know, he was thinking about possibly doing multiple homes and do maybe 2 or 3 of them at a time. And, you know, I think he's still interested in that, but obviously, you know, these homes are gonna take a lot of time that he's working on right now, so. You know, we'll look at all options to try and get it up as quick as possible.
Do I have any comments or objections on file?
No.
Do we have any comments or objections from the general public in attendance this evening?
Oh, Gary's back
Would you entertain a bid, do you have to have property on that lot? If someone gave you what you're asking for that lot?
You do not have to build on it, no.
What's that?
You do not have to build on the lot if you
build
got it. There's no requirement for that.
But you have to have 14,000.
14.4. Was it 14,000, 14,4, I thought.
I think it's,
We're at 14,000.
it's about 14,000.
Just because we have to pay the funds back.
Yep. It might be a little bit over that, but it's not substantially.
And the bids will be open for how long?
This is tonight's.
Tonight.
Yeah, the project, the land will be conveyed in a resolution further down, so the council has to, would make a decision tonight.
Any chance I can let my boss know tomorrow morning?
I mean, if he's serious.
Yeah. I mean, we can hold off, I think.
We don't have to pass the resolution, we can table the resolution, can we?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Need be.
We've got another, well, there'll be another meeting on the 26th, actually, for consideration of special items, so you could table the resolution.
Are you interested?
Yeah.
So we can table when we get down to it then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll just table, or we'll talk about table it when we get to it, so.
Oh.
Alrighty. There being no more other comments or objections on the sale of a parcel of land located known as 710 4th Avenue North, I will close the public hearing at 6:06 p.m. Under unfinished business, discuss the addition of on-street parking spaces specifically for persons with disabilities on Sumner Avenue.
We're gonna
I
get.
recognize this one.
You guys can do it verbatim now, I think. I met with the engineer about the handicap spots on Sumner. He looked at the options that have been put out there as far as moving it across the street and possibly, you know, like next to US Bank where you've got the space right next to it and you're not putting people into traffic to get over there. And he said, you know, that's an option if the council wants to go with it, to move it over to that space. I guess, you know, my thought is, you've kind of got handicapped spots all around that area now, though. So I don't know how much you gain with that. I mean, I guess that's a decision for the council to make, but you're kind of across the street now. So I don't know if it's better to leave it in the existing spot or the US Bank spot. I mean, you've got a handicap spot in their parking lot that's, you know, probably
In the bank parking lot?
about 50 feet away, so. I mean, wherever you want with that area next to it, it does work. So I guess, the US Bank spot would work, and then we could, try and coordinate that way.
We'd take the one out, have the one over at the bank.
Yep.
One for one.
Yep.
Well, you'd only be taking one spot there,
Mhm.
because it's blocked off anyway for, I don't know, is there a fire hydrant there? Is that why it's blocked off?
Just a corner.
Yeah, I think it's a corner, you don't have enough space for the diagonal parking.
Just the corner, just the
Yeah.
walkway.
Yeah, but then the only concern is then the handicap, there's no handicap spot on that corner next to, there wouldn't be one next to Whittlesey's, it'd be across the street now, so I don't know if you'd end up creating
But
more
at least you
problems.
have, at least you have ramps, and you have access to the street, and you have lights.
Yeah,
So you're not having to go out in the van, or get out of the van and go around the back of the van into traffic, and then get to the
Sure.
corner.
sure.
I don't know, guys. Dick, do we need a spot down there if the bank's got one in the bank?
I think you need one on the corner. I'll go along, he's talking about there on the corner. I can understand that very well. Also, what about the one at Dollar General though? What about that one? You're gonna move that from the back existing? And that's so steep. Can that be moved across the street in front of the new building? Anderson there, on the corner?
I think there's a spot there, if the council chooses to move it there.
There's a
Yeah,
hydrant
it's the
there, I
same.
know.
Yeah, there's, you've got the blocked off spot again, so.
So that works over there?
Mhm.
Yeah, the west side's no good. Where the handicap place was before, that's absolutely no good. It's a slope that,
I'd make a motion that we move the handicap across the street to US Bank and take one parking spot because it's blocked off there already.
Mhm.
So we move the one in front of the Whittlesey's and Knotty Pine, move that across the street, and then move the Dollar General across the street in front of the new building, because that'll only take one spot. Am I correct?
that's right.
Second.
So TP Anderson and US Bank. That's the two spots. All right.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Are good, then, Nick? Okay. Next, discuss Sumner Avenue Bridge aesthetics.
Yeah. I guess this is my turn. I guess this is just, I've just kind of gotten the gist of this whole process, or the proposal on the cutout, or what, possibly some kind of a Veterans Memorial. I don't know whether it's part of the bridge or where you put it. I know that there's talk about a cutout in the middle of the bridge, which I think would be a terrific situation for the community. I think it would look really nice as part of that bridge. It wouldn't affect traffic, it looks like. It would be something that we think that can be publicly financed, or as opposed to part of the city budget. And or privately funded, right? Whichever. And at any rate, I guess I'd like to at least give my support to that type of a situation. I think it's something that, as the chairman of the Humboldt Parks Foundation, that we may be able to help facilitate collecting some of that funds to pay for that, to help generate it. We've done the same for the Frank Gotch statue and for the fountain as well. So if there's, perhaps as a holding place and somewhere to pay for that additional cost, though at this point we don't know what that might be. And once we do get that added into the bidding, with a little input from the veteran organizations or whatever the case might be, we'd be happy to try to help facilitate that if we could. I think, like I say, I think it would be a real positive thing for the community, and be another nice addition to our parks. So.
It's kind of Joe's idea, so I guess that's,
Yeah, I don't know. It was just kind of looking at that, the idea of that scenic overlook. and then talking to people the next day after our last meeting and sort of discovering that we haven't had a Veterans Memorial put in town since 1960. And we only have the one that's on the east side of Taft Park, and then of course there's Union Cemetery, and I think there might be a plaque out at Indian Mound Cemetery. And so I think we're well overdue, and I think the sentiment from everybody I've talked to in town has been really positive about this, is adding a Veterans Memorial in town.